They chirping about the Kings, man. They talking. Hey, just everybody take note. Everybody take note. Y'all know we were loud last year and obnoxious. Yeah, it's going to happen again. Because they just waiting for us to fail. Us, because I'm on the team. They just waiting for the Kings to fail. I see y'all. Every single one of you. Tim Bontemps. See you. Tim McMahon.
You think that has to do with like people being so not angry or whatever, but just frustrated that they were wrong? And it's just doubling. Is that like a doubling down thing at this point?
It could be. I mean, the thing that I just can't get over is when they talk about like the Timberwolves or the Warriors, or they talk about the Lakers or the Pelicans. Never, ever, 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 ever does anyone say, as long as they all stay healthy, or you got to have a certain amount of games from this person. Never, ever, ever, ever is that stuff brought up in the way it's brought up with the Sacramento Kings, in that, well, the Sacramento Kings were successful last year because they were healthy. The sole reason for their success was that none of their guys missed a substantial amount of games. And they've had to change the phrasing over the offseason, because they would say the Sacramento Kings were healthy. They were healthy. They were healthy. They were too healthy. No one else was healthy. The Sacramento Kings were healthy. And then it dawns on them, and they realize, yeah, I forgot. Domantas Sabonis broke his hand, and he played through it. Doesn't get credit for playing through it. Doesn't get credit for playing through a broken freaking hand, as Kurt Angle might say. He just gets clearly it wasn't that bad because he was able to play through it. Not that he's a tough SOB. Come on, man.
I'm so out on the, Team A was healthier or whatever, so that's why. Or if Team B stays healthy this year, they'll be fine. Like obviously.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing. That's not how basketball works. The Kings faced adversity last year. Every team, the Pelicans did. The Warriors did. Like, every team is going to face something. It's a question of whether can they confirm it. They don't want to say it. They don't want to admit it. They don't believe in De'Aaron Fox.
You think that's what it is?
They don't believe a lot of those guys. I think Bontemps is one of them. That's James's boy. Doesn't believe what he saw from Domantas Sabonis. And now, from De'Aaron Fox. And now what they're doing is they're kind of hedging their bet. They're hedging their bet in that, 48 wins probably isn't going to get you to the 3 seed. I could see a situation where the Kings are about as good as they were last year, but maybe they're the 6th or 7th seed. Kings win 48 games next year. They're not the 7th seed. I don't even think they're the 6th. I don't think the Kings are winning 48 games next year. I think they're winning more. Oh, but we just don't believe what we saw from Sacramento. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is something to do with they were so wrong about them last year that they're just doubling down, expecting at some point it's going to catch up. Also, and this was my fault because I made the mistake of listening to it. I pulled up the Hoop Collective pod. It's a regular part. I'm not the biggest fan of those guys, but I do they're in the game. Like, I respect what they have to say. Like, I want to hear. But they got me. I think it was called like Boom or Bust. Like, okay. What we got here? Matter of fact, let me pull up the Hoop Collective here real quick. Where's this podcast at? Hoop Collective. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't Boom or Bust. It was Breakout or Bust. And they have the Pacers breaking out, and the Thunder, and they labeled it. That's how I knew. I was like, oh, I gotta see. They got the Pacers breaking out. I don't disagree with that. Actually, I like the Pacers this year. They got the Thunder breaking out. Okay, thought the Thunder kind of broke out last year, but I get it. I got you. I'm following. They got the Timberwolves. Okay, you gonna miss me with that one. They got a bust for Memphis, a bust for Brooklyn, which is curious because I don't know what the measurement for success with Brooklyn is. So I'm curious. Didn't listen. Just skipped right to 103.10 in the pod when they talked about the Sacramento Kings. And they got the Sacramento Kings as a bust. And they use different little excuses that I just gave to you a moment ago. My favorite thing that they say, those analysts, those insiders, those basketball people, my favorite thing that they say is, the Sacramento Kings had an opportunity to improve their roster this year, and they just decided they were going to run it back. All right, cool. Cool. So what we do now is we equate cap space to being able to improve the team. We equate the fact that the Sacramento Kings had cap space to they could have gone out there and improved the team. Okay, tell me more. How could the Kings have improved the team this offseason? Well, they could have moved on from Harrison Barnes, D'Lo. Okay, got you. Signed who? Who willingly wanted to come here? Who wanted to come and be a part of what the Sacramento Kings were doing? Not only be a part of what the Sacramento Kings were doing, but take a role behind De'Aaron Fox, take a role behind Domantas Sabonis, and watch out for that rising star in Keegan Murray. Who was going to do that? The Kings had cap space for Kyle Kuzma, and all of a sudden, Kyle Kuzma was going to be the guy to come in here and take the Kings to the next level? Or not Kyle Kuzma. Was it Kuz? Oh, it was Kuz. It was Kyle Kuzma who signed back with Washington, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma. No, the Kings had cap money, so we thought they could improve with Kyle Kuzma. Would Kyle Kuzma really have been an improvement? I don't know. Maybe he would have. But would Kyle Kuzma have played behind De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis willingly and probably had to take a slight bit of a backseat to Keegan Murray? We equate cap space to being able to improve the team. Just because you can go sign someone, just because you have what appears to be the money to go sign, doesn't mean you can. Now, I don't know what is what anymore because all of a sudden, these NBA contracts are getting reported like NFL contracts. Now, all of a sudden, these Sham suites, now all of a sudden, we're getting these contracts that are up to such and such dollar figure. Now, we used to get that with the rookie year extensions. We got that pretty regularly when you get the rookie year extensions, because with the rookie year extensions, you get the caveats for, max and super max that are tied to all NBA appearances and all of that different stuff and all-star teams, all of that. I'm used to that. So De'Aaron Fox's deal, was up to $190 million. Now, I understand that. It's $160 million deal. It's worth up to $190. We know all that in advance. Now, like Kyle Kuzma's deal was announced as something that it's not. I don't know when the NBA started doing that. It feels like it was this year. Now that they're getting their tweets directly from agents and just attaching agents' names to the tweets, all of the reporting has gone to hell. Now I got to get Mike Florio to dissect basketball contracts so I can understand what the hell they mean. But all of this talk about how the Kings could have improved and didn't is ridiculous.
It's very surface level. It's like surface level analysts. Because if you look at it, I mean, yeah, starting five, it's going to be the same or whatnot. But if you look at the Kings bench, they did replace some fringe level NBA players with guys who will be in this league for a while.
Yeah.
Like Chris Duarte, he's probably like the 9th, 10th guy in the rotation or whatnot. But he's someone who definitely played well his rookie year. Last year was kind of off or what and all that. But like I said, they just replaced a lot of fringe NBA guys with guys who can hoop.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to help him big time too during the season.
I couldn't agree more, but that's not what we look at, right? That's not what they look at. You said it perfectly. You said it absolutely perfectly. It's just fringe analysis. It's just very surface stuff. We're just looking at the top. We're just looking for the little breadcrumbs saying, oh, that's what it is.
And another way you could spin it too, if like you really want to look at the Kings, is that they're in position to make a move when they need to. If something arises or what arises for them, like they can make the move for that third guy and all that.
Yeah.
Like it's not just the Kings are stuck with Harrison Barnes and this is it. This is their team for a few years. If that move comes up, Monty McNair, he can pounce on it.
He could. Yeah, it's another great point. Like he has the assets to do something and to make a move. And I I think a lot of those guys didn't take the time to know Sasha Vezenkov. I think that signing is a low-key major signing. I think it's a big deal. I don't even think it was referenced in the Hoop Collective pod. I don't think it's referenced in most of the stuff I read unless it's a full breakdown of acquisitions, departures, cap space, those types of Bobby Marks types breakdowns. I don't think it's mentioned very often. Oh, the Kings stood pat this offseason. And it really boils down to Harrison. That's essentially all we're talking about. The Sacramento Kings re-signed Harrison Barnes. That's what we're talking about when all of these people say the Kings just stab pat. They're just running it back. That's all they're doing. And sometimes running it back is the best option. Sometimes running it back with the upgrades that Jesse was just talking about, sometimes those are the best option. 916-909-1320. Is that Steven? Let's get Steven in here. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, D-Lo? How you living, man?
I'm all good, man. Appreciate your call. What's on your mind?
Hey, so one of the things I think that the national media, the way they judge teams, and I think the NBA being a superstar-driven league, I think they judge it based on who has the biggest name. And all these teams, that kind of like, they're in the same, they're playoff teams, they're caliber, but they want to elevate the superstar. And right now, even though we got 2 All-NBA guys, they're not going to be as big a name as Kawhi, not Devin Booker, Durant, not who else we got in the West, not Ja, not all these different guys. They have more star factor.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't equate who has the actual best team. It's all about who has the best superstar. And they're going to elevate those guys over us until we have the clutch player of the year. So if you're talking about who can take over a game in the fourth quarter, I mean, I'm not going to say that De'Aaron Fox is the absolute greatest in the world because I haven't seen him do it in the conference finals yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the guy got it in him. I know that he's absolutely the guy I want the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think that's a strong point, Stephen. We appreciate your call, man. Thank you. Again, 916-909-1320. And it brings up something that the chat's picked up on that I think is pretty clear. They may respect to a certain degree De'Aaron Fox, though I don't think they expect him to replicate his all-pro season, which I think is trash, his all-NBA season, which I think is trash because I think he's going to do exactly what Ja Morant did. He exploded in the playoffs. He's going to use that to catapult him into this season. De'Aaron's going to have a phenomenal year. I don't know if he's going to be clutch player of the year. I don't care if he's clutch player of the year. I care if he's producing in the fourth quarter. I care if he's producing in quarters 1 through 3. I care if he's averaging damn near 26, 27 points per game. I care about that. And I think he could do all that. But one thing that's obvious is they don't dig Domantas Sabonis. Whether it's a publication calling him the most overrated player in the game or him just being flat out dismissed as a, 2 or 3 time All-Pro player now? Oh, nah. Or 2 or 3 time All-Star, I should say. Yeah, they don't respect Domas at all. At all. This team's got 2 All-Stars, 2 All-Pro players, and they're dismissed as if they're they're lower than the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are building something. The Kings, nah, not really buying it yet. And all you're living on is the history of the franchise. Despite the fact that Mike Brown's turned it around, despite the fact that Monty McNair's turned it around, despite the fact that this version of the Sacramento Kings appears to be very good. Still the Kings.
The talk about Sabonis is like so backwards to me because you guys are the ones who gave him all his awards this season. Like you guys are the ones who voted him all NBA, All-Star.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't compute.
And honestly, it just goes back to the 7-game series. I guess that's what everyone's just hung up on.
And the other cold piece is like, why? Why doesn't it compute? Because he does all of the things that the dude y'all adore does. Now he doesn't do the 30, 20, and 15 that Nikola Jokic does, but he'll give you 20, 12, and 10. Y'all act like this man didn't have triple doubles last year. Y'all act like this man didn't lead the league in double doubles last year. but you convince yourself that it's not real.
I think
these people would rather convince themselves that what they saw from Domas wasn't real than acknowledge, like, yo, this dude is good.
I think Steven had a point with his call. I think a lot of it has to do with it's a popularity contest. If you look at the way the NFL is covered and all that, like the up and coming teams, like the Jags, like they get their shine and all that. Like you can say the Kings are one of those teams up and coming last year. The Kings didn't really get covered like that. They still stick with the Kawhis, like Steven was saying, like the popular players. And I think that's one thing that I don't want to say it hurts the Kings, but just hurts the way the NBA is covered is they just focus so much on popularity rather than what's coming up and what's real right now.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about all through the Warriors series. Y'all didn't watch the Kings. Y'all didn't watch basketball. You watched the Warriors. These dudes on ESPN. Stephen A. told on himself after game 1. Stephen A., arguably the most prominent sports media person in this country. Stephen A., the most prominent sports media person in this country, who hosts the NBA show on one of the league's partners, told on himself the day after game 1 when he said, I gotta apologize to that brother De'Aaron Fox. I didn't know he was that good. You didn't? All he did last year, you didn't know? Now, that was his first time doing it on that level. Got you. It's first time he did it on that stage. I got you. You took the television set like you were flabbergasted.
Yeah, it's just it makes no sense. I don't see how you can see how the Kings have been built and how they played last season. They kind of have taken the new NBA blueprint where have at least 4 3-point shooters out there with your 5 on the floor.
Yeah.
All right, have the 3-point shooters out there.
Got them.
I mean, yeah, they followed the blueprint. I just don't see how you can call that not sustainable.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. The fact that Keegan Murray just sneaky did the things that he did last year, and that wasn't blown up on him. Like, he broke a record that Donovan Mitchell set. It's whatever. And, like, did it just smooth and chill. Did it, averaging like 11, 12 points per game? I guess when you do it really loud and you're averaging 20-something per game, hey, that's cool. But the fact that he did it while averaging like 12 per game, shouldn't that tell you something about the way Keegan was playing? Shouldn't that tell you something about the way the Kings were playing? But all of that stuff, it's all just coming back. Now that we're getting closer and closer to the season, now that, this team's got how many nationally televised games again? And you're still glossing over them. You're still acting like what you saw last year wasn't real. Maybe they needed to win Game 7. Maybe they needed to win that series against the Golden State Warriors for this to be real. Maybe it's not real because they didn't do that. I'm not sure. But the conversation around the Sacramento Kings is bordering on goofy.
You think this is a year where fans will have to like fight and claw for De'Aaron Fox to become an all-star? Because like with the Celtics and Jason Tatum, like he's automatically an all-star. Like just other people will do that for you. Like here in Sacramento, you have to fight to get your guys on the all-star team. Did you get that respect, or is it still the fans are gonna have to fight to get him on there?
I think as long as the Kings are good and he's doing what he does, like I don't think he has to do anything like over what he did last year. Like, as long as the Kings' record is good and De'Aaron's still the best player on this team, I think the coaches will respect that. I don't know that, we might be like winning playoff series away for fans to vote for De'Aaron. No one's ever going to vote for Domas. That's always going to be coaches. Like, the fans aren't going to do it. But De'Aaron, like, why wouldn't fans in Boston, New York, Atlanta, like, why wouldn't they love De'Aaron Fox? De'Aaron Fox is a incredibly entertaining basketball player. He's a Ja Morant type player who can catch on with fan bases across the league, regardless of who your favorite team is.
Yeah, I just wonder if we're past the days of seeing like the Austin Reeves ahead of De'Aaron Fox and voting and all that.
Well, see, that's the. Yeah, I don't think we are.
Wasn't it last season? When they opened up the fan voting and all that, De'Aaron Fox and Domas, they weren't even in the top 10.
Yeah, right? They weren't even there. Yeah, they weren't even there. So to that, like, I don't think we're there. Because Austin Reeves is a Laker. And in no situation other than the standings or potentially a playoff series, the Kings aren't going to supplant the Lakers in popularity.
You think they have to win a playoff series to get the respect, or is it something where it's just if they're top 3 seed by December, January, they'll get the respect? No,
they have to win.
That's tough.
Yeah, they have to win a playoff series, and I expect them to. I expect them to win a playoff series. But yeah, like I just that's the only way you like quiet noise. They need this success to continue, and I get it. Like, there were football teams. I think I was just talking about it with Jacksonville. Jacksonville went to the playoffs last year. Said I didn't buy it. I need to see it again. And I think as we were talking over some of these football teams, I think I even said out loud, like, hey, there are going to be people saying this about Sacramento. They're going to be saying the same exact thing about the Sacramento Kings, whereas I saw it last year. Everyone was healthy. I need to see it again.
It's just funny because they passed every test. It was after the trade deadline. It was, what was the line? Everyone's going to get better.
It's going to ramp up. It's going to get harder.
And the Kings ended up coming out the best.
They did. And that was last year.
Yeah.
That all encompasses what happened last year. And now we're at the point that's all gone. Clutch Player of the Year is gone. 2 All-Pros, 2 All-Stars. That's gone. Unanimous Coach of the Year. That's gone.
They don't talk about this team. They don't talk about this team as if they have a future.
Didn't Monty win Executive of the Year?
Yeah, I believe he did. Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year, top 5 and 6 man. I think Malik Monk was Clutch Player of the Year, All NBA, All Stars, and like I said, they don't talk about the team's future.
Wasn't enough. I didn't see this. Someone mentioned it to me. I think it was at Sky River, which was why I missed it. And I can't remember what outlet it was. This has strong Bleacher Report vibes. But they ranked the sophomore, like the last year's rookie class headed into their sophomore year. And they ranked Keegan 5th, which is like, all right, like whatever. He was drafted 4th. The hell am I missing here?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Keegan Murray is like the prototype for the future of the NBA, where the NBA is going, the threes, all the way he plays, and it's just, for some reason, that just doesn't connect with people. Like the way the Kings play, all of that.
You know what's wild? That sorry-ass Atlanta Hawks team got more respect than the Sacramento Kings team did.
Well, see, that's where the popularity argument comes in. They got Trae Young and all that.
Trae Young. All right.
I really think that plays into it. Like that was a good call from Steven. I really think the popularity. If you're popular, they'll love you, the media.
Carlos says that was ESPN. That's wild. I have to pull that up. I need to see how they accomplished getting the 4th overall pick, who was phenomenal his rookie season, down to 5th, headed into his sophomore year.
Aldrin Dre brings up a good one too. OKC already has more respect than the Kings do.
Yeah,
going into the season,
they do.
Haven't made the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie. Last year with the Mike Dagnall stuff with Coach of the Year, I didn't understand it. I don't think you should get Coach of the Year for not making the playoffs.
They love them some Shea. They love them some Sam Presti, and they love the idea of draft picks.
And how they talk about OKC is how they should talk about the Kings, the future, what's coming up, and all that. But I don't know.
We'll come back. I honestly didn't mean to spend that much time talking about the Kings.